Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Universal Lens. I am John Emilio in Smoky, New Jersey, along with
Henry Beltra in crystal clear Chicago.
Crystal Clear Chicago. Now I get a little bit of that traffic noise, actually, because you have a better signal. I actually heard a car beeping.
Now I have to address that.
No, it's not bad. It'll probably scrub it out. So, like I said, Henry's in Chicago doing some work, and the beauty of technology is allows us to do this.
Yep.
And still be here and do our show. So what's new, man?
I invented the internet.
You invented the internet?
Yes, I know you don't know this, but I just like to struggle.
you like the grind. You just enjoy the grind.
I like the grind.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm here in Chicago, buddy.
So you're there in Chicago. All right, great. So what do you want to talk about today? I know we usually start our shows off from sometimes we have a point and a mission. Sometimes we just kind of meander around and stumble upon things. Is there anything that you'd like to
considering
specifically discuss?
This is take 2.
Yeah, it's a take 2. The first one didn't go well because we had internet issues. But
you know what? The first one kind of helped sharpen this one up better.
It always does. Practice. It's always a practice.
So I led off to recap. I was reading a little segment from your book, a little passage, paragraph actually, as they say nowadays. I was reading a little paragraph from your book, which resonated with me. And as you know, this few days ago, you had posted a Facebook. You had posted a post.
A post, from Sadhguru.
That's it. And like I said, at the moment, of course you know it, but you need to be reminded of things, because it helps.
Sure.
And that's why following pages like ours, is nice because you just get reminded, that little gentle reminder that, when you're scrolling through Facebook, it's nice when we come through and you see beautiful things such as the one that you post. Now, I am going to read, if you don't mind,
a
little
please.
Passage, and which resonated with me because I find myself in Chicago handling a lot. There's a lot of things going on in my businesses, economy, industry, blah blah blah. Anyway, so I find myself really brain squeezed, and
been there.
So in this great book I'm quoting, this book is titled "The Universal Lens."
I think I know that guy.
By John Emilio. He says, "There was no assuaging the questions. Picture a radio on full blast. The power and volume buttons are missing, so you can't turn it off or lower the volume. That's what being in my mind was like. Distractions were key to my survival. They made me feel safe and kept my mind chewing on things to do. That was my escape, my compulsion, to stay as occupied and busy as possible. But instead of escaping, I was entrenching myself further in my OCD experiences. I was a prisoner of these thoughts and had no idea. My coping mechanism became to gain even more control over whatever I was doing. Unfortunately, the more control I needed, the less control I had. People said I was organized, and they envied me for it. I was one of those. I ran with that because that sounded better than, you're crazy, dude. I was saying you're crazy because you were so organized. Yes, I was organized, but I was still checking locks, gas tanks, cracks, and numbers. No one saw that. All they saw was how perfect my external world seemed, like a filtered photo on social media. My life was a never-ending game of cat and mouse with my mind. So, even as we speak, right now, I am putting a filter on my photo for social media. I'm telling you that
I got you.
honestly and bluntly, because I feel like I'm under a lot of stress. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of decisions, hard decisions I've had to make. So my mind has been ruminating, and I go back and I try to employ some techniques. And I got to tell you something. If I wasn't who I am and do what I do with you and learn so much, I know I wouldn't be right here where I am right now, able to actually use a beautiful filter where it looks like there's nothing wrong with that guy. Like, there is so much going on in here that I found myself doing uh, like extra menial things just to stay busy, 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 because I am all day dealing, 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 and I'm being pulled from the left, pulled from the right, make a decision. Who's coming in? What? Okay, stop. Take a phone. And when you're going 100 miles per hour, you know, you don't know how to stop. And that's kind of what's happening to me right now. And you texted me before and said, "Hey, if you're busy, we could do it another day." I'm like, "No, this is what the doctor ordered. This is it. This is it."
Okay.
So I read
Okay.
that passage and like, so I'm living through it, and I'm selfishly talking about myself right now. But this is just to kick off a show because I think this represents everybody or a lot of people.
Sure. No, it represents most people. Most people don't even know that they're doing it. See, the key is you actually have an awareness and a baseline presence in you where you're noticing that you're doing these things. You're noticing that you're following these habits and you're
Yeah,
following these behaviors and you're chasing your mind constantly. So you notice it. A lot
yeah,
of people don't. They just kind of go to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And they think and believe that that makes them happy. When at the end of the day, it's just keeping them occupied because most people, and Michael said this last week, which the episode that aired, it aired today, that we have with Michael Acosto, said last week, he goes, you want to solve a problem? He goes, start teaching people how to sit in a room by themselves with their thoughts for 4 to 5 hours. Because see if they could do it. Because most people don't want to sit with their thoughts. They don't want to. They want to appease their mind, not notice it, and choose wisely when to engage it or not. So what's happened? What you were explaining before was basically you're just like your mind saying do this, do this, do this, and again, your work might dictate that that's important to do, right? Because work is work. I get it, right? We all have duties and tasks,
yeah,
and if your day dictates that it's one thing after another, after another, after another. Well, there are things you could do during the day that could slow that down also.
yeah,
Not every phone call is an emergency.
yeah,
I know they feel like every phone call is an emergency, but it's not. There are times I'll get a phone call during the day and I'll be in the middle of doing one thing and right after it comes another thing, I won't take it. I won't take it. And I'll say, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes and I will call that person back. Right
yeah,
now, I'm just going to stare at this wall. I'm going to stare at this tree. I'm just going to sit here for 5 minutes. I'm going to finish brushing my teeth, whatever I was doing, but I'm going to do this task first mindfully. Then I'll take a few breaths and then I'll engage the next one. So I'm telling my mind, hey, yeah, you're right. That's important. We're going to get to it. It's just not important now. Just because you said jump, I'm not going to have to say how high. I'll say jump. Yeah, you know what? I think we need to jump, just not right this second. We'll get there, but it's your choice to do that, right? So, it's again, you noticing it is huge. Most people don't. Most people have no idea. Most people just keep going to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And like that's their life is doing things until one day they're dead. And then they're like, oh, I've done so much in my life. And I'll like the question I'll always ask is, but have you actually ever lived? Like have you been present for any of it? Or have you just been saying, following commands, do okay, do okay, do okay, and that's it? Like where is your and this is Alex Mills taught me this, another spiritual teacher. I mentioned him a bunch of times who I worked with. He brought this because he did 14 years at a Zen monastery, and they kind of taught him this, how to have an inner mentor. So just because your mind tells you to do something, it could be a ruminating thought, and you know that that's going to take you down a rabbit hole. But it could be, well, Henry, this is important. We need to do this, and we need to do that. Or it could be, well, Henry, you know what? We should be humble. We shouldn't talk like this. Or Henry, you should tell them off. Like you're going to have voices on both sides of the aisle. You need to know what works best for you and what is actually in your best interest and what what the compassionate you would want to do for yourself in that moment. So not every task you do is important. Not everything that your mind says
Yeah.
is. And I know that work is. I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. You feel as if it is, but
Sure,
but you know it's not.
it's
It's
not.
it's
Yeah.
weird. So
What?
you have to get past that first feeling. And I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to fast forward here. So again, few days of high stress, like very difficult decision making, like decisions that really impact people's lives. It's
Sure.
really
I'm
tough,
sure they were. Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
can imagine my job is not nearly as like a doctor or a nurse. You can imagine, people that see some stuff. But I found myself thinking of, let's say, what we do, what we talk about, right? Because at the end of the day, this is real life and real keys and real tips on how you can employ them to sort of help you. And John, I swear to you, so you're gonna laugh at me. And you're gonna think, you're bipolar. Like I found myself walking to dinner. So I was walking to dinner, and I was like, all right, let's calm down. So I'm talking to myself, right? So let's calm down. Stop complaining. Stop overreacting. Stop being, nothing is the end of the world. So this problem A, it will get addressed, and let's see what happens with these fixes. I'm still ruminating. Obviously, you can see I'm still ruminating. But once that kind of like phased away, I had a moment of light-hearted, like, okay, I'm good. It was, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where I'm like, what the hell? Like,
So what changed in those 5 minutes? Like, was it just you stopped? You like your
why
mind
did
stream just kind of slowed down?
why did the 5 minutes end,
No, no.
or what triggered?
What was it about those 5 minutes? Was it quiet your mind, or was there a different emotional feeling all of a sudden?
I'm trying to figure that out, and I think that one of the things I was trying to do is, it's like when you were working on your swing, right, in baseball, you work on it so much, and then you go out in a game and you hit, and you're like, well, okay, what was it? Like, I don't know. I
Well, you
hit.
practiced at it. Yeah, okay. All right.
You
So
know,
I'm following you.
I struck out a whole week, and today I hit a double.
Those 5 minutes you had, and that happens to all of us. So like even the most zen of people do not walk around in constant presence and bliss, right? Especially especially if it's a person who is unfortunately involved or engaged or has to deal with other people on a daily basis. So it's hard to be in that ultimate kind of zen feeling. Like I'm actually talking about, because it happens to me where I'll have these periods where there's a light airiness always there, to other times when I feel like things are a little bit busier and crazier, but I find it behind the thoughts and behind everything else. And it's there and I tap into it, but it's not like this all around feeling all the time. And when it's there, you can enjoy it. Don't hold on to it. Don't try to hold on to it, because it's going to ebb and flow in and out. The more you try to hold on to it, the more it's going to play hide and seek with you, that feeling. So just kind of let it come in and out. And when it's not there, be present with whatever is there, because that's the work that gets you back there again.
Well, you described it. You described it without, like, you were kind of asking me what was. You described it. It came on its own and left on its own. But
Welcome to presence. Yeah, man, that's beautiful. That's
yeah,
great. You actually
and
you actually get to experience something that most people I know don't experience.
I mean, it was weird because amidst, again, I'm bringing you back into the dark side. Amidst this,
Yeah, chaos.
this, what is it, 8-legged octopus? All of a sudden, hey, where'd the octopus go? Oh, who
Yeah.
cares? We're in a valley with lilies and nice
So
breeze.
so you tapped into something that's greater than any problem, because remember, a problem is created by you. There are issues to deal with. And look, it's always a touchy subject when you tell somebody, especially somebody who's dealing with business and stuff like that. where you could say, you know, these aren't problems. It's an issue. We create a problem. And the problem is where the suffering is. So the issue can't be changed. If there's something that unfortunately is happening that you don't want to happen as a business owner, and I'm a business owner, so we've all been there, I have two choices. I can either align with that issue and make it a problem, make it an identity to who I am, or I could consciously deal with it. Consciously deal with it, meaning using a conscious mind, being a conscious business owner, right? So you could apply that to even being a business owner, where you don't have to kind of be this pop 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 pop, just go 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 go, do. If you lose the being, even in business, if you lose that being when you're trying, or that presence when you're trying to do something, it becomes just a task that needs to be done. And there's a pressure with that. There's a heaviness with that.
Yes.
Instead of saying, this is something I'm going to attend to now, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it not from the world is ending mentality, not from this is who I am. This is something that I'm going to tend to. And the answer at the end might not be the answer that we'd like, right? Because we all know, right? If when you own a business or work in the real world, unfortunately, things are gonna happen that you don't like, that could impact you financially, that could impact you, your business in many ways, and you might not like that it's there. But then you have a choice: do I want to suffer that these things are happening, or do I not? So when you had that little moment of the few minutes of presence in the middle of that chaos, my interpretation of that, because this has been my experience and what I've kind of learned and what I went through, especially in the beginning, is your muscle that you've been flexing for the last 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 months since we started doing the show. I mean, you were doing it before, but really since you got into this even more, that muscle you've been flexing started to show. So all of a sudden, all that work you're doing, and you tapped into a portal of this presence where everything quieted down, right?
Okay.
And
So would you say it's like a stage, like a stage? There's stages.
so well, with awakening and I'll use the word awakening, because awareness, you always have an awareness, but with an awakening, we use that term and we say it's somebody who's becoming conscious of their thoughts, who's finding out that they're not their thinking mind, and they're this conscious being behind it, right? Which is hard to explain, and we've always said this. So are there stages to it? Yes and no. So depending on the person, some people are thrust right into it and they kind of get there really quick. For other people, there's stages, but I think a lot of it has to do with the world around them. So if somebody's in a world where there's a lot of chaos constantly around them, maybe that awakening process does take a little bit longer, because they're constantly being their energy, they're putting out one kind of energy and they're getting another one back. They're putting out one and they're getting another one back. So it's kind of hard to sustain it in the beginning, especially if it's not something you've been doing for a while. So there are stages to it. I mean, it doesn't go like, well, this is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. It's not like that. I think everybody is different. Like for me, it was a little bit of a longer process, and along the way, it was like I put it this way: it was like picture a chart, right? And the line kept trending this way, but it wasn't a flat line straight up.
Yep.
It was.
Yep.
It wasn't like this either. It wasn't like big spike up. Wow, everything's great. Oh my god, everything sucks. Oh my god, presence is awesome. Oh my god, everything's no. It was. I get it. It's a little bit cloudier now. Wow, things are a little bit easier now. There's an airiness. Okay, that airiness. It's like the smoke today. It was a beautiful day yesterday, and out of nowhere, the smoke came in here. The smoke is here and it's hanging overhead. Eventually, the smoke's going to blow out. But I get a choice. Do I want to sit here and be pissed about it? Do I want to sit here and be, oh my god, this is the worst? Or do I want to say the smoke is here, and I'm still here with it, right? So
Yep.
I think you're trending the way you should be trending. So I mean, stages is a tough. Yeah, I hate saying there are stages to it, because there's really there's no formula where you say stage 1 is stage 2 is stage 3 is oh my god, and stage 4 is ta-da!
Yeah. But I you answered that as perfectly as possible. That's spot on. So I could feel it. I feel it. I feel like like this journey is like a stock price, where you know
Yeah,
some days it goes down, some days it goes up, but the trending average is always
it's always up.
right.
Yeah, and that's the key. And but this is the beauty about awareness is it's it's like a muscle. While you kind of, if you don't flex it, you kind of lose it. But awareness, you never lose it completely. What happens? It dulls if you don't use it. It just dulls a little bit, and those unconscious behaviors kind of just simmer there and
Bro,
stay there. You know.
it's like you've done this before.
Excuse me.
I
Yeah, a
swear to you,
couple times.
it's. I mean, I just right this minute or right a few seconds ago, I had another beautiful, like, great feeling. I don't know, possibly because I'm getting it off my chest. We're talking about it.
It could be because you're speaking about it, but the portals keep opening up to presence as long as you're willing to see them when they're there, right? I mean, so see, none of this has to do like everything. This has nothing to do with your work and the issues at work. Like that's where people get stuck. Is okay. Well, if I do this, everything's going to get better. Nah, you see, that's not how it works. If you do this, everything doesn't get better at work. Let's
Right.
just say, but everything gets better for you.
With you, yeah.
Like for you, everything gets better because
Yeah.
that is what it is. And there is a positive effect that you have on that because, and this is like something I wanted to speak about, uh, and I had a note about it, like what it means to be a conscious business owner.
Uh-huh.
So if you're a business owner, if you're somebody who runs a business and you want to be a great boss, there's two ways you could run a business. You could be the almighty profit is king, right? Or you could be the you lead by example. You lead by being um I mean, we say the word conscious business owner means you implement things that are not just beneficial for you, but beneficial for all in the company. And the decisions you make when you're an aware and awakened person reflect on the business or whatever task you're doing. And those people that you engage with, that maybe not everybody, because there will be people who are just unconscious beyond unconscious, but a majority of the people you interact with are going to feel that. So there's going to be a give and take of that where maybe your results are going to be a little bit better or a lot better depending on the situation, but you're not going to make them worse. If you're an unconscious business owner, you can only make things worse. Like it's easy to make it's actually very easy to make things worse because your ego wants to be right. You have things have to be so right. I know we're going for a little bit of a tangent here, but like this all plays in together, right?
Yeah.
You could even implement it with that.
Oh, no, we didn't get off the beaten path, if you ask me. I think it's all related.
Sure.
Because I'm gonna say something where, okay, yeah. So I like today I had made a very difficult decision, but um, like you said, the mindful business owner may be in a difficult spot because it could be, let's say,
Absolutely.
whatever the reason is,
Yeah,
industry,
absolutely.
board, whatever it is, whatever the reason is. But you put yourself in a more, if we just stick with business, you put yourself in a more advantageous
Position.
position
Correct.
to address the concern.
Because
So
you think with an intelligent mind, you're not thinking with an emotional mind at
yeah,
that point.
and by the way, it may not work out. It may not,
Absolutely.
right. It may not solve the issue you had. It may, it may not. But you know, do like, I guess, are
But
you
did you suffer while you were doing it now? So the
correct?
difference is, even if the result isn't what we would want, quote unquote, right, to be at the end of this business transaction, let's just say,
Yeah,
are you suffering that if it doesn't happen? And I'm not saying will there be a financial hardship? There might be. I
yeah,
don't know, but you could have a financial hardship and now suffer that financial hardship. So which one do you want? Do you want to have do you want to have something that's not going your way in life, which is going to happen to all of us? It's happened to all of us. Or do you want to have something that's not going your way and say, well, I accept that this isn't going my way, and I'm choosing not to suffer that it's not going my way, but I can still work at making it better. But I'm going to work at making it better from a place where you felt that little aha, right? That's where you
yeah.
start making your decisions from, and not from the and the fucking sucks and this is the worst and just you want to just burn the whole world down kind of mentality.
So embedded in this discussion. I'm going to tell you something that maybe you can identify with, or maybe not. But judging by the way things are going, you can identify. And this is our coffee talk anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, so today I had to make a very difficult. I had to take a very difficult decision and a very difficult conversation. But it's weird. So in the past, I know that a conversation or a decision of this magnitude would break me and would squeeze me and all the energy out of me before I even get to where I got to get to. I mean, just the fact that I got to do this on Wednesday, oh, forget about it. And I was able to do it. I was able to do it calmly. I was able to do it, say,
Right.
politely, I do it correctly. And even though I didn't like what was going on, even though I wasn't enjoying it at all, it brought me like a lot of, let's say, stress. I was able to do it, and I was able to do it, say, correctly, and I was able to move on too. And
Perfect.
yeah, it wasn't a perfect world situation,
No,
but
absolutely.
I'm telling you, this is the kind of decision that would have eaten me, and just I would ruminate from sun up to sundown about this, something like this, and I didn't. I knew it had to be done. I knew it was a hard thing, but I did it, and I did it with the best, with my heart. Basically, as I like to say, with my heart in hand. Where, this is the decision I got to do, and that's it.
Well, it's good that it's again, and so listen, we have to all make unfortunate decisions in our lives and things that we'd rather have them be another way. But again, you have the choice to say this is something that just for business purposes needs to be done. This just is what it is,
Yeah,
right? There's certain parameters we just can't circumvent when we're running a business,
yeah,
and but you do it when you do it from a place of presence. There's a different feeling when it happens. So now what you're doing is you're not going to engage the voices and the emotional talk in your mind that tells you all these things to, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this to this person. Or I can't believe, and it's not to say you're not being empathetic. You can still be empathetic, but not suffer, right? So you're not going to beat yourself up for a decision that had to be made. That was, I hate to say had to because we have a choice. So you're not going to beat yourself up for a decision you chose to make for the benefit of your company or this business transaction, which is again, we can't, you can't, and this is talking about business, you can't run a business trying to save everybody, unfortunately, but you can run it consciously where you're like, hey, this isn't it's not about being a profit monger, but it's about running a healthy business and
sure,
taking care of my employees where I can. And if you have to, make a tough decision from time to time, we have to make tough decisions. It's part of the financial world that we
yeah,
kind of live in. But you choose not to suffer that because it wasn't the decision was made from a place it was made consciously, that decision. It
yep,
wasn't made unconsciously where you're saying, well, cut them off, screw them, I want more money
yep,
for me, right? So that's
yep,
that's the difference with that, right? So
yep,
like while we're talking about business for the last 10 minutes, it's just to even give another example. And like some people might check out because like, well, this doesn't, you know, affect me. But it's how it applies to everything, mindfulness. How even
yeah,
you're a business owner, how being a business owner can being a conscious business owner and aware mindful business owner could will just make you better at what you do, and in the end probably in one way or another give you better results at what you're doing. Same way if you apply it to depression or anxiety, it'll only help. It won't hurt. It'll only propel you to see things differently and to kind of get you out of your thinking mind as opposed to keep you stuck and entrenched in there where you're second guessing every decision. You're double talking. You're listening to every voice in your head. Why you should do this, why you shouldn't do that, and then after the decision is made, why'd you make that decision? Should you have made that decision? Which is going to be it'll keep you ruminating forever and ever, right? So
Well, I don't know if this is, let's say, healthy or not, but this happened to me. So after I told you, after that little moment of, let's say, Zen came in and then kind of floated in, floated out. I kind of, I kind of thought about what we do when we talk about, let's say, the experience I'm having, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was proud of myself. if the
Okay.
Is that the ego doing?
Okay, so
Uh,
were you proud of yourself and
I was
then let
proud of
and that you were proud of it, but then it went away, or were you proud of it and it stuck
quickly,
around? And
quickly,
there's a
quickly.
difference. So there's not like humility doesn't mean you can't be proud of an achievement. There's a difference between being proud of an achievement. We'll usually just say an achievement so everybody kind of relates. There's a difference between being proud of an achievement and being proud and saying, I'm the fucking best. Look at
Yeah, no,
me. I'm the mindful king. I'm going to teach everybody here how to be mindful because I got Zen now. There's a
yeah,
difference to say,
no,
wow,
good.
that happened. I'm very proud that I was able to do it. I'm very grateful and appreciative that I was able to experience that. And I'm going to move forward from here. And that perspective, that approach just keeps you in that realm, keeps you in that
Okay,
presence, keeps you being the watcher and not the doer of your mind. So, like, it's no, you aren't being this. You should be proud when you achieve something,
okay.
but
I
be
didn't use those words,
yeah,
but that's the feeling that I have.
exactly.
You know?
Eckhart Tolle said when he got the phone call from Oprah Winfrey because she had the book club, right? That she had this Oprah Winfrey book of the month club or whatever. She had this
Yeah.
book club that she would do, and she called him to say she wanted him to be on the show. He said, he goes, I was very happy and proud, of this achievement, and he goes, I was very excited to go. He goes, and then I left it there. I was proud. He goes, in other words, he didn't chase that story. And now I'm proud. I'm achievement. I'm going to tell everybody on Facebook. I'm going to tell everybody on Instagram. Well, look at me and I'm the best. And this is the best. And I'm going to be the biggest guy,
And then tomorrow you do it again.
until it's no. He was, wow. In other words, when that natural feeling comes up, no, feel it, appreciate. And I say, don't attach to it, appreciate it that it's
Okay.
there. And then when it starts to wither away, don't give it a reason to want to hang around even more. Let it pass. And you move on to whatever's happening in your life right there. Because more and more of those feelings will come in if you're not A, trying to hold on to them, B, trying to make them happen, right? So like you said, you felt proud and that was great. Absolutely. That's not the ego. The ego is when it makes it about you, not about you have a natural feeling that arises because something good happened in your life. No, that's two very different things. The ego doesn't bring up good feelings. The ego tries to create them falsely by creating propaganda in your head or creating stories or trying to manipulate things. That's how the ego tries to get that feeling. When it arises naturally, that's for me. That's what I say. That's this universal intelligence, just this natural state of emotion that comes up, and we allow it to as it comes up to bubble up and then to just wither away. It'd be the same thing with a negative emotion too, right? Like Oprah calls and goes, "Hey, your book sucks. I really don't want it on my book club." Okay, well that sucks. I'm not happy to hear that, obviously, but I'm not going to hold on to that. And I move on instead of saying, wow, this is the worst. Now, what am I going to do? And by the way, that happens to all of us, right? It's not like, those thoughts don't come up, but it's the attachment to them. So, no, nothing wrong with being proud, my man. You should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's healthy.
And yeah, and then further thoughts or feelings attached to those was, well, I really needed that. The moment I really needed that. You know, further thoughts, further feelings
You
around the surround that.
you needed it.
Yeah, like so. I felt, oh wow, oh that was good. My muscles working, my mental muscles working, my mindful muscles working. Let's say, and then when that feeling passed, and I'm in that transition where am I going to pick up anxiety again? Well, I'm not anxious right now, but am I going to pick it up again? I'm in that limbo. God, I needed that. Does that make
Uh,
sense?
it does, but it still sounds like when you just said, "Is am I going to get that anxious feeling again?" That is so. That's not watching what's happening. That's kind of now you've engaged and you're on the lookout.
Correct.
What's going to happen? Is it
That's
coming?
one. Yeah,
Where's
that's
is the boogeyman behind that door now? Right. And this is one thing I actually learned in therapy, and I would always. This was actually the first therapist I wanted to go see who just misdiagnosed me, and I said something to him once where I said, I always feel like no matter what I do, there's always something. I forgot the exact words I used to. Like there's always something else that's going to happen, or I feel like there's always another shoe that's going to drop, or something like that. Forgot what it was, and he said something to the effect of, he goes, around every time around every bend, he goes, if you're looking at like something like if you're looking around every bend, you're always looking for something else to be there. In other words,
yes,
you're looking like there's a part of you that's still looking. Okay,
hundred
well that
percent,
feeling went away.
hundred percent,
Is the other one coming back? Don't.
100%.
Yeah. Because if you're looking for that other feeling, mental note: the mind is a machine. Okay, let's
Sure,
go. Let's go find that feeling for Henry.
that's exactly. I mean, that's why the passage is when you were looking for this extremely organized guy who was doing everything, and
Yeah.
so again I didn't have that particular thing of checking locks, gas tanks, all that stuff. That's fine. That's one thing. But my checking locks was what's coming up. What's coming? It's the same
It's a mental rumination.
pitfall,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's the
yeah. Listen,
same.
it's change. It's the same ice cream cone. You're just changing the flavor on top of it.
Yeah,
It really
and
is.
my mind is so used to that pattern of worry, anxiety, worry, that when I don't have it, well, when's it coming? And it's not me. Like if it were up to me, I would be like, no, I would never have it. But it's just that
If
process, that
if it,
mental muscle,
if it was up to you, you would never have it.
the anxiety.
The anxiety. You don't have anxiety.
There you
Hey,
go.
oh.
You always slap me in the face.
Come on, man.
But do you
That was
understand?
you set that one up. I had to spike it down.
Do you understand
Yeah,
why you're beautiful?
yeah.
Do you
Nah, man. Listen,
understand?
it's a yeah.
Yeah.
It's really very simple, but yet very profound. Like it's something that you tap into, and when you tap into it, you don't want to. It's not that you don't want to lose it. It's just there, and it's always there, and you don't know what it is, where it comes from, what purpose it has. But you know that when I'm in my I know that when I'm in my thinking mind, I know that I just want to use it to accomplish what I have to accomplish, whatever task has to be done. I need to figure this out. So you need to use your mind. But when I don't need it, I like to just sit in that place of watching it. And see when I say I'm not using the mind, doesn't mean that the mind isn't still, you know, the wheels
Taking
aren't
over.
going. Toot, 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 toot. The wheels, especially my wheels, it's just the way my DNA is or the way my mind is wired. My wheels continue a lot during the day. But there are times where it'll go blank for a while. Doesn't happen all too often, but it does happen once in a while. My wheels keep going. But it's I now, instead of being engaged with the wheels, I step back and I watch the wheels. And I'll literally have a thousand thoughts that'll come in and go, "Oh shit, John, you know what? You should write this down. We got to do this." I won't. Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. I'll let it go. Oh, wow. You know what? You should call him and tell him this. This would be a great thing for the podcast. This would be an awesome post. And that'll rattle off one after another. And there might be a great idea in there, maybe. I don't know. But if it's a really great idea, it's going to come up at the right time. It's not going to be where like my mind spit it out and now I have to chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it, because then I'm never going to stop. So I will let thoughts come and go, come and go. And some, at the end of the day, I'm like, what was that again? Because that was actually a pretty good idea. But I choose not to engage them all, because that's how I anchor myself in that place of kind of stillness and presence, by not engaging every thought, every idea, because my mind's gonna give me 1,000 ideas a day. Like literally, the next great invention, even like that'll come out of nowhere. I'm like, it's too much. It becomes too much, and I just choose to be like, what are the thoughts that I need to accomplish whatever I'm working on right now, and that's it. The next
So,
task will be the next task.
in a, let's say, in a stupid layman's analogy, would you say that
There are no
what's
stupid
well,
laymen.
so
Yeah,
would you
man.
say that like what's going on in your brain is a cable box, and you tune it to channel 5, but your other self, hey, no, put channel 21,
Ah, yeah,
and then you're like, nope, channel 5. Is that basically? And they're like, oh, 21. How
yeah.
about 38? How about 48?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That little, it's almost like that little ADD. It's almost like the little bit of attention deficit disorder that just comes. And yeah, sure, that's a great analogy. It's your mind. Your mind constantly wants to pull you away because it wants you to engage it. Right? It's like a puppy that wants to play. Engage me, engage me. I have a great idea. Engage me. What a lot, and the biggest misconception is people who think and believe that every thought is who they are. They automatically engage because it's okay. Well, I thought of this. It's me. I got to engage it. I got to give it credence. I have to give it importance. I must adhere to this. I'll look at it and go, oh, this thing that's pumping out these ideas. It's great. Whatever's happening in my life right now, do they apply? If they don't apply to right now, I'm going to let some of them just float on by. If it's something that's uber important or something that's what, that it's a very big insight that might drop in, I might give that credence. But you'll see that there's going to be, I'm just going to give a number for argument's sake, right? There's 100 thoughts that fly through your mind in a 20-minute period, or in a 5-minute period. There's 100 thoughts that fly, pop, 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 pop. That's probably the number, by the way. Probably way more than that. But
really.
pop, pop, pop. If I'm going to pay attention to every thought that comes in and try to chase it, even if it's to chase it for 30 seconds and then come back and chase it and come back and chase, I'm constantly running. Instead, watch it go, watch it go, watch it go. And I'm talking like even at times when you're trying to have a little bit of downtime, if you're meditating, you're in a shower, you're going for a walk, right? I say this I think I say it in my book. I would go for a walk around my block. And
Yep.
when I would go for my walks, my mind would tell me, oh, well, that's a good idea, John. We should do that in the house. You have to fix this. You got to do this. My mind was trying to do everything to keep me engaged, not because it wanted to hurt me or it wants to do something malicious. No, because that's what it friggin' does. And I'm like, no, no. I want to be here. I want to feel my feet hitting the floor. I want to feel the wind through my fingers. I want to listen to the birds as they chirp. I want to hear the leaves rustle as the wind blows through them, or the car horn, or the plane flying overhead. I just want to focus on those things. And I will let all that other crap go as I'm walking around the block. And then apply that to when you're in the middle of a day with work and your mind's telling you to go open the window and your mind's telling you to go back to the balcony, like you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah, there's a series of things.
Why? Because the
Yeah,
window needs to be opened.
yeah,
Why? Well,
yeah, because
because
I
my
was
mind
hot for a
said,
little. Yeah,
exactly, your mind said to do it, so you did it. Did it need to be done? That one might have needed to be done. I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is every thought, and that's what you were saying before, right? You were saying
I was
how
able to identify that. No, what am I doing? Like,
yes, but your mind was doing that to you, so
yeah,
that's where it kind of circles back in. It doesn't matter what the application is. Like next week we could talk about a different application. It's this sports. We've done that, right? Business. We touched on it today. We could actually go deeper into business. Um, Religion, politics, whatever you want to talk about, it'll apply to everything in life. It's the what doesn't make a difference. It's the how you're doing it. The what is business, sports, relationships, uh, whatever it might be, anything, a real life event, whatever it is. The how is the consciousness and awareness that you bring to it. So before when you said, hey, are there different stages to this? And I said, no, there's really aren't stages to it. There aren't stages to it, but you will notice one thing. that feeling that you're feeling in the beginning gets very prominent after a while. Then all of a sudden it starts to disappear. And what people don't realize is because it's that feeling you're feeling is actually your body kind of responding to something that's happening like this, because you've tapped into like a different layer of thinking, or you've tapped into a different
Gear,
a different
different
perspective,
gear.
a different gear, or just oh, you popped out of gear. You're not even in gear. You kind of threw it into neutral.
Okay.
But what happens is you kind of over time you get like that feeling, not the awareness in the presence, but that actual bodily feeling, like that airiness, starts to not be there all the time, but the presence remains. So, because I remember Eckhart Tolle said this when after he had his dark night of the soul, and not everybody goes through that. It's a very spiritual thing, but um, he said for about, and his lasted a while. It was like for a year or 2 years. I remember he walked around in like bliss, absolute bliss, and he goes, over time that feeling dulled out, but what he was left with was still the awareness and the presence to see everything that was happening in his mind. The trick that where people on a spiritual path will trip a lot is when that feeling goes away. Now they start to say, "Whoa, what happened?" And they start looking for it. And when you start looking for it, the mind kind of comes back in, engages with you. Let's go hunting. Let's go find it. And you start going into old patterns. You don't even realize it for a while again.
Yeah.
It's watching it. And then in time, it trickles back in. And that's where you start to see this ebb and this flow to it. It'll come in on its own and it'll go away. It'll come in on its own and it'll go away. It'll come in on its own and it'll go away. Jim Carrey, they interviewed him. He was a big follower of Eckhart Tolle's. And he said he had that same thing. Remember there was a period where he grew a big beard and he was kind of like,
Not
that's when he had this spiritual awakening. And he said over time that feeling went away. And he's a comedian, so he was doing a show with Eckhart Tolle. And he said, the one thing I want, he kind of grabbed him and goes, I want that feeling back. And he was doing it tongue in cheek, but it's because it does kind of dull away that feeling over time. But what you're left with is an intense way of looking at the world, a better way of seeing things, a presence to be able to watch your thoughts and your emotions where you don't have to engage them anymore, even though you feel them, So it's,
Bro.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I know I get a little heady when I talk like that sometimes, but it's just,
I can't put into words, like, I'm going to say you get it, right? But it's more than that. It's more than that. Like, this really was beautiful. It's a beautiful conversation. This is a beautiful thing that we're sharing. So we put our lives out on this medium just so people can relate, and so people can, at some point in the convo, they say, "Yes, I do that," or "Holy, yeah, you know what? I do the same thing." So number one, I want to tell you, you're beautiful. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
everybody, we're all beautiful, my man.
Well,
But thank you, I appreciate it.
You do
You
have a
think I'm cute?
beautiful visage. Secondly, is if you're listening and you're watching, actually, if you're watching, you have the pleasure of looking at this, and you relate, and you found something, let's say, that could help or that helped you. Drop us a comment, let us know, share it, because it's why we do it. Nobody's forcing us or paying us,
No,
or
man.
nobody's, this is why we do it. And if we get a comment saying, hey, you know what, I feel that same brain crunch too, of like so much stress and so many things going wrong and things to do. And that's why started off, and you were talking about like a filtered photo on social media. That's kind of how we all go through life. I mean,
Sure.
we don't walk down the street going, oh my god, like in this. No, we walk down the street, and nobody knows what's behind and what's going on.
But you're
But
actually suffering. That's the point, is right. You don't
that's
have to. Yeah.
but the whole point was, that's everybody. Every single one of us has stuff going on. Every single one of us. So some of us have more, some of us have less, some of us is more severe, but we all have stuff going on. And what things we talk.
do you identify with that stuff?
Yeah, and like the things we
It's
talk about here is so key in today. I say it over and over again. I know it's so key. 2023, and the next year I'll say it's key. 2024, but it's so key. It's like the intensity meter is being like tweaked
oh
every
yeah,
day. And like, you remember back in I think it was a few months ago, we had the Chinese spy balloon.
yeah. I remember that conversation.
Remember I told you I had like a minute of anxiety?
Yeah.
John, that same inkling of anxiety came with this ash thing, with this Canadian fire thing.
Again, at the end of the day, as human beings, we're wired. Our minds are wired to protect us. So when we see something like this, I would assume most people the thought that comes to their head is, oh my God, these horrible wildfires, and what are they going to. You can engage that and run with it, or you can look at it consciously and say, okay, this is something that's happening right now. There's no immediate threat to anybody here, right? I mean, the fires are going to make it here, but they're wildfires. Wildfires happen, things happen in life, and we take it as it comes, and we'll see what tomorrow brings, right? I mean, the weather is supposed to be getting better, so we're thankful, and I'm grateful for that. But just because that inkling is there, so do you strike the match and light it, or do you see that spark and you let that spark just wither away? And that's the thing,
Yeah, I saw the spark. I
Henry.
saw it.
Even if the wildfire was going to come, like let's just say, like, oh my God, there are fires everywhere, we're all gonna burn. Even if that was gonna happen, attaching to the anxiety and going down that worry hole with it, what would that resolve?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's not going to resolve anything. I could consciously think how to survive something without attaching to the anxiety. Even if I feel the anxiety a little bit, like a physical
Yeah.
feeling, I don't have to attach to that anxiety thinking, and I could allow it to just float away and put my focus on, okay, well, let me think intelligently on maybe how to navigate this, because doing that's not going to make it any better of a situation anyway. So,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So, but
it's perfect.
yeah, but that's I mean, I guess everybody has one of those. So
So
I think we're good.
finito.
I think we are good. All right. We do the
Guided.
our little meditation.
Yeah. Ready
Or
when you are.
do you not have time there? I don't know. I don't know where you are. If you have time to do it, there's
Yeah,
always
bro.
time to do it. But
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
okay,
Let's absolutely do it.
sure, okay, all right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening in. Hopefully, everybody got listening and watching.
Yeah.
Both of us
Watching, because
watching us.
now it's worth it. Before, boring. Bah. Now,
Now you get to
oh,
see our faces.
now it's
Now
too
you get
much.
to see our faces in different places: Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Chicago. We're all over the place.
We're all over the map, man. Give us a
Yeah.
few more weeks, we'll be somewhere else. Trust me. I'm ready.
Okay, so all right, thanks everybody for listening in and joining us today. It was a good talk as always. So let's finish it off like we usually do with a nice, quiet little meditation. I'll just keep talking us through it. Fix your posture. Start by taking some deep breaths. Like we said, and that number is really, I'm going to leave it up to you. I like doing 2 seconds, 3 seconds, but if you want to do a deeper one for 4 to 5 seconds and then a longer exhale, that's fine too, right? Actually, the longer you go, the easier it is to slow things down. So if you want to add a few seconds onto that, that's absolutely fine. So start taking those breaths in, holding, and then releasing. As you're taking those breaths in and out, pay attention and notice everything that's happening in your mind. We'll start with there. If your mind is active right now and thinking of things to do, places you need to be, of things that are going to be going on later, just watch those thoughts. Don't engage them. Bring your attention back to your breath. Bring your attention back to your body. Bring your attention back to anywhere on your body, your face, your shoulders, hands, whatever part of your body that you want to focus on. Bring your attention back there. If you want to bring your attention to something you hear, a sound, bring your attention back to that sound. That's fine too. And just watch and notice. Remember, the key here is we watch and we notice. We don't engage that thought. We don't engage those images and those thoughts that fly through our mind right now. We choose where we want our focus to be. And by choosing, that is how we tap into that watcher. You notice there's that space between those thoughts, there's a space between that feeling in your body. If you feel tension somewhere, release the tension. Don't judge it. Don't label it. Just release it. And notice that you are not that tension. That tension is just a feeling in your body, but you have the choice to release it. Let's take a couple of more deep breaths. One more. And we are back, and we'll be going away now. Hope everybody had a great time. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. I hope everybody got something out of this. This was very nice.
I'm sure they did. If they didn't, screw them. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, John, thank you. The only thing missing was our little espresso, but
man,
cigar.
When you coming home this week? When you come home, we'll have one.
Brother man, thank you so much.
All right, let me hit the music. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.